What's up, twisted people? It's your girl here, Chauncey K. Robinson, aka Twisted Woman CKR. And happy Sunday to all of you people, whether you consider this the beginning of your week or the end of your week. Happy whatever you consider it, because perspective is key. As we are going to talk about the perspectives, my perspective in particular, and yours too, if you're joining me live and also in the replay of Titans Season 3, Episode 9, Souls. Because we got to talk about what may honestly be maybe in my opinion, perhaps the second best episode of this season so far. Maybe a little bit tied for the first. If you're new here, I talk sci-fi, horror, TV, mainly TV on this channel these days, and movies as well. And, when it came to Titans, I got a lot of opinions about Titans and what this show doesn't do right, and, what it does occasionally, right, and what I think is the potential of it. And so far for season 3, I honestly I thought that basically episode 3 for me was probably the best one. I believe that's the one where Hank was blown up. I think that was the one. And to me, that episode was probably the best episode of the season thus far, for a number of reasons, mainly because I got to see the Titans act like a group for a majority of that episode. And I honestly think even if it wasn't exactly the group that I wanted, I think I'm so starved for like group activity of like Titans type characters that I really just enjoyed seeing this episode. And I just think the episode was quite enjoyable. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the 3 main plot lines of this episode 9. Souls, and I want to see what you all think. Thank you so much for joining me in the live chat and those of you joining in the replay. I love talking stories with you all, particularly these kind of stories, and digging deep into characters and stories and what we think about them. Trant, thanks for joining. What's up? Glad to catch another one live. Thank you so much for joining. It's always a pleasure hearing your thoughts. And Ray, thanks for joining us in the live chat, Ray. Ray is saying, finally, Raven and her and Donna did not disappoint, but Bruce did. Batman does not commit. Yes, we're going to talk about what that was. One of the things I said on a teaser on when I was promoting, this live, I was like, we're going to talk about how this is probably one of the better episodes, but how this show seriously seems to be doing my boy Batman wrong. And I don't get it. He's like a walking depressing plot point for the characters and for whatever they choose to want to do with the show that day that they're thinking. And I just think it's weird because for a show that depends so much on Gotham, for some reason, even though it's a Titan show, and the Batman light family type thing, it really does a disservice to the main character that makes that possible, in my opinion. But we're going to talk about that for sure. Trent is saying, yes, episode 3 and 9 are the best so far. I would even throw the Blackfire episode with that as well. I would throw that too. The only reason why I would say not necessary, that's probably like the third best episode of the season, is the Blackfire episode. But I would argue that the reason why, of course, it doesn't tie for the top is because they kind of didn't give us all of a Blackfire episode, did they? For whatever reason, we had to split it. I mean, that's one of the things with this show when it comes to Starfire and her plot line is for whatever reason, they always make her share. And with other characters, for reasons, they don't usually have to share as much when it's connected to them. So that's a problem with this show. Bannon is saying, agreed, Ray. Love the Raven Donna plot line, but Bruce did not need to be there, and hate how they are treating him. Exactly. Ray is saying, Chauncey, now I'm on your train. This is not Batman mentally and emotionally. Yes, thank you. See, I told you. I said that. I've been saying this. I said it in previous live streams. I broke down why, I broke down why I thought that they were just not landing this right. Even if you think it's questionable the way he takes in a younger people and adopts them and makes them Robins. Even if you disagree with that, there's a way to do that that's critical of that process without necessarily throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as they've been doing with this character, which is crazy. Trent saying they really need to never show Batman or Gotham on this show ever again. I could agree with you on that. And, I say that as a Batman fan. And I am a Batman fan here. I'm a fan of many things. As you can see, I got Hulk in the background, but I got, Joker right there. You can't see it in this off screen, but I got Catwoman over here. This is, I grew up in the Batman / Hulk household because my dad, brought me in on that stuff. And watching this, I'm like, wow, wow, what's going on? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing it this way? Sorry guys, my other cat, y'all don't get to see this one a lot. My baby Elliot, he's the oldest baby. He's 16, y'all. Y'all don't get he's a grumpy baby. Y'all don't get to see him a lot. Y'all usually see Pato. But yeah, there's just a lot going on there with how they're treating Batman. I would argue that it's kind of like a bait sort of a thing, because I've said this before. I think some of these writers who is in charge or whatnot, I don't know if they necessarily believe in the Titans property. And I think because they don't trust it, because I don't know why they don't trust the Titans property, because it is a very popular property. We've seen that with Titans Go and all of that. They lean more on the Batman stuff, and not an episode goes by where we don't get a Batman thing. And I don't know what that's about. And I don't mind that necessarily, but if you're going to do it, don't crap on it at the same time. It's kind of weird. Solomon is saying, thanks for joining us in the live chat, Solomon. I'm convinced that the writers don't like or understand Batman. His actions were so out of character this season. That's why I say he's a walking plot point. I honestly think he's a walking plot point. It's not even a thing of them crapping on him necessarily. I feel like it's more along the lines that they choose to place him in when they want him to do something. And what they might want him to do. And it changes based off that. In season 2, I liked the way they used Batman in season 2. It was great, Grayson got to kind of make amends with him. They got along. He got all of them back together to go help Grayson and come back together and things like that. It worked. And for whatever reason, they decided to just kind of go back on all of that. And because like I said, he's a walking plot point. They decided they needed him to do some other stuff to move other things along, like this haphazard Red Hood plot line, which he has played no real role in. You got him playing a role, but not the role he needs to play, because you want Nightwing to play that role, right? That's what's happening here. Nightwing has replaced Batman in this role with Red Hood, and because it's a Titans show, so they needed to make it connect somehow. Sure. Bannon is saying the only character that doesn't have to share is Nightwing. That's exactly it. Trant, Bannon, that's not true. Donna, Hawk, and Dove, Deathstroke, and Rose all got solo episodes before. That was I was about to say that actually. All of them have gotten solo episodes. And for whatever reason, Starfire hasn't, and Gar definitely hardly gets one. Gar's one had to be shared with Superboy, right? When he helped Superboy, that was when he got to kind of get more focus. And in one episode in season 1, but that was shared with Raven, right? Yes, Bannon is saying, I just wish they would let Titans be Titans. Let's see. Ray is saying, Batman is literally known to be one of the mentally strongest DC characters. That's literally his whole shtick in the comic universe is mental fortitude. Thank you. Exactly. So we're going to talk about it. So let's talk about it. First and foremost, let's talk about the grade for this episode. Y'all let me know in the live chat and also in the replay down below in the comments. That's what I'm talking about. Let me know if you had to give this episode a grade, what would it be? So my grade for this episode is a solid B+. I think this was a solid B+. And that's because all the other episodes have been kind of, the bar is kind of low, not super low. Season 2 was atrocious in my opinion. So season 3 is better. It's still, I will say, I still think season 3 is better than season 2, But that's not saying much because season 2 was just bad. And season 3 is better, but it's still very lopsided. It's still very much not necessarily feeling like a Titan show in the totality that it could. But this episode kind of reminded me of the potential of this show. Souls reminded me of the potential of when you have characters that aren't necessarily Batman family-like and what can be done with them. That's what this show can do. We see it at times. We even saw it with the Blackfire episode, half of it anyway, the parts that were Gar, Starfire, and Blackfire. So we know this show is capable of writing for other characters that have nothing to do with Gotham and things like that. We know it's possible because we've seen it. And it's actually done well when it's allowed to. And I think this episode just kind of drives home why this show works so much better when it focuses on Titans characters. It just feels more like a show that you don't have to fast forward parts through, in my opinion. So I would give it a B+ for sure. Trent is saying they would give it a B-. Bannon is pointing out Gar has never got any real attention or focus, which is a shame as he is such a fan fave. Exactly. Bannon is also saying agreed, B+, and it would have been an A if they left out the Bruce stuff. I mean, that made no character sense. Exactly. So what we got with this episode 9, was 3 main plots. Batman, the afterlife with Hank, Donna, and Tim. And we got Rachel. First and foremost, it was so great seeing Rachel. She's one of my faves. It was so great seeing her. She's part of my core 4, which was from season 1, Starfire, Raven, Gar, Beast Boy, and Nightwing. That's the core 4 of season 1. And we have not really had a return to the core 4 since season 1. And who knows if we'll ever get that again. But it's always nice, even individually, when those characters get some play. And even Donna, because Donna was in season 1 too. So, and I like Donna as well. And it was kind of, I actually got to interview the actress on AfterBuzz TV when I was on there, and great person in terms of how she goes about the story and stuff like that. So it was great to see her back on screen. So congratulations for being back out on there, and so yeah, I think this was good. And I think it was kind of a return to season 1 Donna, because season 2 Donna was kind of it was like, what's going on with Donna? But this seemed to be more along the lines of season 1 Donna a bit. And so let's take this bit by bit with each of the characters. I want to know, let me know in the live chat, y'all, what out of these 3 plots, which one was your favorite? Which one was your favorite? It seems like there seems to be a consensus that the Batman one was like the least favorite. But out of the other 2, I guess, which one did you enjoy the most? So let me know that. Hino, thanks for joining. Hey, just showing some love to your stream. Thanks, Hino. Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining. Or checking in. Trent is saying, I'm really nervous for this season. We have 4 episodes left and there is so much going on. I'm praying that the ending isn't botched like the other finales. Yeah. Trent is saying Donna and Tim were the highlight. And Bandit is saying, I wish we could have had a couple episodes of the afterlife. I agree with that. I want to talk about my idea for this, especially when we got Hank and Donnie reunited. We got to talk, because I don't know about y'all, but I kind of got Supernatural vibes in the afterlife for those who have watched the Supernatural show. I would watch a show like that with the 2 of them kind of fighting the ghouls and finding out what's going on, who's running the afterlife and the outskirts of the rules and stuff like that. That actually sounds like a pretty good show. Hawk and Dove Afterlife. That sounds like a pretty good mini comic series, right? Comic book series. I could see that in live. They should do like a limited series of that. I'd watch it. I honestly would. And this is the thing. I like Hank. It was Dove I didn't care for. The other Dove. Not his brother Dove, but Dawn's Dove. I didn't care for Dawn's Dove. And I'll explain that when we get to that part. But I really like Hank. And honestly, this was sad again to let him go, because to me, he's actually one of the better characters of the show. And that's probably because of Alan, because he's just phenomenal and has such comedic timing and is just so great. And I believe he's in a new show. I think Richter. I think that's the new show that he's headlined. So I'll be checking out for that. But he's so good. He's so good. Okay, so let's talk about let's talk about Batman first and foremost. But let's see what some of y'all are saying about the first plot, the plot that y'all like the most. Solomon saying the afterlife plot was the best. Love seeing my faves together. I love that the series addressed Donna's ridiculous death. Yes, there was some meta there. There was definitely some meta. Teddy is saying, hey, love your channel. I think the afterlife parts were the best of the episode. Hey, Teddy, thank you so much. And thank you for joining. And I agree. Afterlife definitely was the highlight. Van is saying, yes, I also got supernatural vibes. Ray is saying, LOL, one episode off defeat of Trigon, but Crane gets half the season. Ray, yes. We're going to talk about, that's a whole other rant. So I'm saying I smiled from ear to ear when Dawn showed up. I missed their dynamic. Same. Trent is saying, no, let's skip the best. No, we got to talk about it, Trent. We got to talk about it. It was in there. I gotta address it as a Batman girl. I gotta address it. Okay. So we're going to talk about Batman. He does his last will and rights. And I was kind of curious who he left some of the stuff to be honest. Probably Nightwing. That's probably another thing. If Jason, let's hope Jason never gets to see what Bruce's last will and testament actually said. He'd probably be even more mad that he probably is not going to leave anything to him. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't leave anything to Jason or didn't leave anything to Jason, right? So Batman, he's about to commit, he's about to off himself, y'all. What's that? Why? I would argue, I almost felt like saying, is this because everyone was coming at him? Barbara was coming at him. Nightwing was saying, go, do whatever, stop being Batman then. I mean, the people he came to care about kind of, in a way, all abandoned him in a way. And there's but so much a person can take, I guess. But this is the thing. Batman, Bruce, is no ordinary person. Like, he's such a... I mean, I get it. Alfred's not around to be his conscience and stuff. But, as was pointed out earlier, one of the great things about Batman, when Batman first started, there's over 80 years in comics with Batman, right? When Batman first started, he was a detective. That's a big part of his thing. He's Detective Batman, the Batman Detective series. He has the mental, fortitude that perils even other superhuman colleagues of his. If people remember, there was a whole episode, I think, in Justice League where he basically put together a whole, manifesto of how to get rid of every member in the Justice League if they ever went rogue or if they ever went bad. That was a main thing of Batman. He's always thinking of every possible situation, and he's not really a depressing person either. He broods, but the thing about him is because he has the mental fortitude, he can see things and, he has the capability of kind of living his life, but also doing what he's poured himself into. And I just think it's such a weird disservice that this show would think he would go that far necessarily with everything he's been through. Think about it. Everything Batman has been through. And he's going to off himself because of Jason doing what he did. And I find it weird if Charles was there that he doesn't update him to say, hey, there's something going on with this Red Hood thing. You might want to think about what that is. Because I don't know exactly if Bruce is aware that Jason is alive. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think he'd off himself for Jason alone. Jason was with him for all of a year or two. I just don't see that being the case. No shade to Jason that he wasn't important, because I know people get mad at that, because some people, in the fandom have a tendency to think that the Titans were super mean to Jason and they pushed him to this, and Bruce too. No, Jason is a grown man, y'all. So I just don't think Bruce would do that. And it's just so weird to me that they would have him do that off of this. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And you got some people, I've seen some arguments like, oh my gosh, like Batman has never, it's so crazy. You know, like when someone, you know, points this out, they kind of act like we're not allowed to point out that Batman wouldn't do those sort of things or get to that point because of his morals, because of what he fights for, that he probably want to go out in battle. If you ask me, I would think Bruce would want to go out in battle, not offing himself in flames. Like, it's such a disservice to this character that it's almost it's such a disservice and it's insult to injury because they use this character's lore so much for this show. And yet they do a disservice to the character that made the characters that they're other characters that they're using possible. And it just makes no sense. You have Batman Beyond, where Bruce basically was still Batman well into his 80s. He was still fighting crime in his 80s. Even when he couldn't fight, he picked up the gun. He had never picked up a gun eventually. Because, hey, what else could he do? Like, he would have fought. And it's just weird to me and so demoralizing to such an epic character to do that, you know, to this character for a plot point. Because it was a plot point. I don't know if I feel like they did it because it was like, let's have Donna come back in an epic way or something. Or we got to figure out a way for Bruce to kind of come back, but he kind of went off. So we got to give him some kind of spark to come back. And we don't want it to be Dick this time because he's already doing stuff. We did that season 2. So yeah, let's make it Donna. So we got to make him off himself. Just bad. It was bad. It was pointless, y'all. It was bad and it was pointless. That was the other thing. It was pointless. Bruce would have went out fighting if he was going to go out. Where's Selena? Where's Catwoman? Like, he wouldn't even call her up and for her to show up like, yo, what are you doing? Can you not? It's just, I don't know. I feel like this is a group of people who uses this character but doesn't really understand this character. And it's at a point where what's your audience? Who are you trying to please with this? Because it's clear that they've tried to draw in Batman fans with this stuff on a Titan show, which is it just makes so much infighting in the fandom, which is unnecessary, right? That's where you get the infighting in this fandom that watches this show. Fandom being the fans that watch the show, right? You get infighting because they've drawn in these people who are only really watching it for Batman stuff. So when other real central Titan stuff go on, they're complaining. And then those of us who are watching for Titans, and then it's a whole thing. But you're not doing the Batman stuff, right? So those people complain anyway. So who are you pleasing? How about you just do a Titan show for the Titans fans and you won't have to deal with people complaining that you're not doing Batman right or Red Hood, which you aren't doing right. Like, you guys are botching all of these Batman plot lines. The only one you've sort of gotten right is Crane. And that's still unbelievable because there's no way he would have lasted as long as he has with these super powered people minus Nightwing who could have fought in on him. Like, what's good? You know? Yeah, it just doesn't make much sense to me. Trent is saying the writers fundamentally do not understand these characters. Bannon is saying Bruce would fight to the last breath. I agree. Bannon is saying, and it didn't make sense that Donna knew to save him. That came out of nowhere. I think it's just, it's what do people call it? The Deuce Mechana? I always mispronounce it. It's basically that way that when someone writes a story, whereas that one thing they can always invoke that kind of just fixes everything. In season 2, Bruce was sort of that. Batman was sort of that. He kind of made it so everyone got together. That they pulled Bruce out of nowhere to make him fix things and get them to rally behind Nightwing. And I feel like in this one, in this particular episode, it was sort of have Donna be everywhere. We got to bring Donna back, but we also got to tie up these loose ends. You know. Trent is saying, why do we even need Bruce back? Well, I'm going to say this, Trent. The reason why I think we actually need Bruce back, because I think he has to go back to being Batman, because that may be the only way Nightwing leaves Gotham, unfortunately. They've made it that situation. That is almost as though the only way we might get Nightwing to feel like he can leave Gotham behind is if Bruce returns as Batman. I don't see them letting him go if that's the case. Solomon saying, as much as I hated the reason, I think that the fire seemed to be a reference to Wonder Woman saving Donna when she was a child. Oh, no, I agree. It was definitely a callback to that. And I'm sure the writers patted themselves on the back when they did. Oh, that was so smart of us. Yeah. But it makes no sense that it's Bruce that she's saving. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? Hi, Josh. Thanks for joining. Josh saying, hi, Chauncey. Red Eyes. I walked in on the rant. LOL. Hey, everyone. Well, yes, of course you walked in the rant because I'm taking on the Batman thing, and you better have an issue, Red Eyes, with the way they did Batman in this episode. If you don't, I'm gonna side eye you. I'm gonna side eye you, Red Eyes, because I do not think you can defend this one. I know you like defending some of this stuff. I don't think you can defend this one, y'all. Bannon saying, yeah, but didn't that turn out to be Rachel's subconscious manifesting Batman? I don't know. You know, I felt like in season 2, right? Bannon is referencing season 2. I don't know. I felt like that was left kind of vague because then he also appeared and him and Nightwing talked about Donna and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if that was completely him or if that was more like he's just everywhere and he used it. Like, I felt like that was kind of left vague. All right, y'all. So all I'm going to say about the Batman thing is that it was weird and it was such a weird plot point. But I do think the reason why they have to do that, because they have to figure out a way to get Bruce back to Gotham. I don't think, like, I felt like that's the only way they're going to get Bruce back to Gotham is if he had this epiphany and he saw Donna and that gets him back to Gotham. I hope that's what it is, because I feel like he needs to take out Crane. At this point, it makes no sense. I mean, Crane is Batman's villain. He's not Nightwing's villain in this particular case. You know, he really just isn't. Josh saying, I'm here for the rant, Chauncey, LOL. I'm with you on everything you are saying. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, it's just really just, y'all, I didn't know what to say. When I saw that, I was like, why does this show want to torture me so? I mean, does it know I'm a Batman girl? Like, it's like, does it just want to, let's piss off Chauncey. Let's throw this in. Anyway, so yeah, that didn't make any sense, but I'm glad Donna saved him. Because, I mean, Titans is in their own universe. So it's not above them that they could kill off a character. So I'm just glad that they didn't let Batman go out that way. That's all I could say, you know. Okay, so let's go on to the afterlife with Hank, Donna, and Tim. So this was good. It was good. Hank really stole it for me because I just thought he was so great. I feel like Hank is a great character. And I think they kind of also did a disservice to Hank and Dove in a way when they, unfortunately, you know, they did really well. And from my understanding behind the scenes stuff is that Hank and Dove were supposed to have their own spin-off show. And that the whole thing of their solo episode in season 1 was kind of like a backdoor plot. You know, when a show has characters come on, you kind of focus on them because they're about to go somewhere else. Kind of what they're doing, what they tried to do with Red Hood. That kind of seems like what they have been trying to do with the Red Hood thing, right? Unfortunately, he's been allowed to commandeer the whole season. But usually what you do, you get one episode that's kind of focused on these new characters so people get a sense of them. And it was a good response. I loved the Hank and Dove episode of season 1. I actually really thought it was good seeing the origin story, particularly Hank's origin story. I thought it was great. And that was supposed to give them their spinoff. What ended up happening is that the spinoff didn't happen. So they enfolded them into the Titans show. Unfortunately, Titans doesn't know how to write an ensemble show. So what happened was come season 2, we got a lot of the old Titans and our core 4 got pushed back. And I think there was a bit of a backlash to that. As much as people loved Hank, he got grouped in with the characters that people felt were taking away from the core 4. And, you know, Alan, who plays Hank, explained, you know, how he got a call saying that the show, you know, Warner Brothers, HBO thinks it's kind of bloated. So they kind of have to, you know, take off some of the cast. You were included in this, you know, unfortunately, in my opinion, because I think I would have kept Hank. I'm honest with you. I would have gotten rid of Dawn because I didn't think she added much, but I would have kept Hank because he's just a great character and he's interesting. And so it was great to see him. I don't know where he got that car from, though. I don't think he explained how he picked up a car. It was a great car, though. I love the 80s music, him playing it in the car. I love the dynamic between him and Donna, that kind of banter they had going on. And I kind of liked the way they created somewhat of a universe of the afterlife. I do think there's plot holes in that. I think they kept it as vague as possible, probably because they didn't want to explain a lot of stuff. But I thought it worked. Donna must have been on that train for a very long time to somehow come across Tim. But then also you could argue that maybe this was the plan all along. Maybe Donna was meant to cross paths with Tim, and that, you know, Hank was meant to cross paths with them, and then he could go on with Donnie and, you know, protect the afterlife. I do want to say I would love a spinoff limited series of Hank and Donnie in the afterlife. Like Sam and Dean of Supernatural, kind of fighting the ghouls and protecting people in the afterlife and things like that, and the whole universe. I think that would be so cool. And they're just a cool dynamic. I'd love that if we got that. So if y'all are listening, I'd take a mini series, maybe not a whole full-fledged series, but a mini series, although Alan is already on a new show, so we might not get it. But if y'all wanted to come back to it, I also think it kept it open to the fact that if Hank and Donnie are there, that if, you know, ever they have to go into the afterlife, or maybe Raven communicates with them, that we may see them again on maybe some guest star roles. And I did love that they kept it open for that. I love that as well. But I thought this was a good dynamic. I thought it was great to get Donna back. I also love that they pointed out that Donna died in a very stupid way. She did. She died in a stupid way. It was dumb, y'all. And I'm glad they pointed that out. It was so out of nowhere that she died too. I don't know if that was just them trying to kind of make the cast smaller, but the way they did it was just like, what? Donna? Huh? Like, electrocution? Really? What's going on here? But that's also the problem with this show, where it picks and chooses when people have certain kind of powers, or when people can withhold, can be vulnerable to things, or when they can be not vulnerable to things. The show very much picks and chooses depending on the plot they want to push when that happens, which is inconsistent, and I don't like it. But I thought it was good. I loved Hank's send-off, though, and I kind of hope this leaves it open for Alan being able to guest star occasionally when they might need help from the other side as he's causing trouble and then kicking ass and taking names with his brother. I would love that. Bannon saying they gave real meaning to his death, Hank's, and made him a true hero again. Exactly. Bannon saying Hank's origin story was powerful. It really was. And I would have been okay had they given them a spinoff. For whatever reason, the Hank and Dove spinoff never ended up happening. I don't know why, but it never ended up happening. So they put them in the Titans, and, well, you know, people wanted who they wanted to get focused on. And it's always, I mean, since about the end of season 2 to now, it's been a very crowded show. And that would be fine if this show was good at doing ensemble pieces, but they're not. Solomon saying, yes, the Hank and Dove season 1 episode was top tier. It was one of the best episodes of that season. Josh saying, I'm loving the Hawk art in your background. One of my favorite characters, Marvel. Definitely one of my faves too. Bannon is saying, also, maybe time works differently there for different people. Yes, I want a Donnie and Hank spinoff. Was very glad to see them again at the end. Exactly. I agree. I would watch it. Give us a limited series. Give us like 3 or 4 episodes of some major thing they have to fight. I feel like Alan could come back for that. Red Eyes is saying, I honestly really love this episode on how they portrayed the afterlife. I was wrong about Hank being alive. I can admit that. Yes, you were wrong. I loved that they gave him and his brother a happy ending. Yeah, exactly. Ray is saying, killing an Amazon like that was literally made me vomit. LOL. Like any of the humans but an Amazon, she went toe-to-toe with Starfire, and that? Heck no. Yeah. Trent is saying Hank's death is the only one in this show that was earned and emotional. It really was, and it was really well done. So I really love how that went, to the point where it was so well done that I wanted. I mean, I already liked the Hank character, so I wanted him to say he was one of the characters I wanted to be part of the new Titans, because I just think you needed that wisecracking guy who kind of, busts the chops of Nightwing's like straight man kind of character, right? They had a great dynamic, and I love that they had him bring out the Robin things, and he's like, I definitely was not thinking of Grayson at this moment. That was cute because they did have a very kind of contentious yet sibling relationship, and I like that. And it would have been great had he got to stay. Unfortunately, that's not what they wanted to do. But I get that. I feel like it was partly because they were also getting rid of Dawn. And I think they didn't feel like they could keep him around if they were getting rid of Dawn, which is unfortunate. And that's no shade to Dawn. And this has nothing to do with shipper stuff. Like, my thing with Dawn wasn't the fact that they had her with Nightwing at times. I thought that was contrived too, but it was very clear that Dawn and Hank were the couple for like each other. My issue with Dawn is that she was repetitive too. Sometimes you can't have repetitive characters in an ensemble cast. Hank wasn't repetitive, right? There was no other guy on the show that could go toe to toe with Nightwing and bust his chops. All the other guys left on the show right now are guys who are very much, they look to Nightwing as the leader, as the person they can't necessarily always question. Hank wasn't that. And you kind of need a character like that to kind of balance out the Nightwing type character in a group setting, I think. Dawn was a bit repetitive, right? Dawn wasn't, I remember in season 2, they tried to say she was like the mother of the show. And it was like, no. Corey's the mother of the show. Like, Corey is the mama of the Titans, and that's how it is in the comics too. She's the mama of the Titans. She's the sage advice, and things like that, even though she has a little bit of a temper. She balances that from Nightwing. So you can't have Dawn be that. You can't have Dawn be like the sisterly person to Nightwing and stuff, because that's Donna, right? So she was repetitive. So she didn't really need to stay. But Hank wasn't that. But, that's just how that happened. Ray is saying, I'm glad we got to see that Dove I wanted to see instead of Dawn. I wanted the Hawk and Dove from Justice League Unlimited, to be honest. Exactly. I just think it was a better dynamic, but then they killed him off. And it was like, okay. Ray is saying, seeing Donna's super speed to Bruce gave me life. Donna, Corey, and Connor is the whole arm of the team. They really are, but they tend to stump their powers depending on what plot line they want to push, as we've seen with why this Crane plot line just keeps on going and going when they could have clearly taken him out by now. But yeah, and we also got to see Tim. Tim is this character who I really loved Tim this episode. He had a certain innocence to him that I'm like, I could see that. And I know it's going on in the grapevine right now, guys, that we might be getting, for whatever reason, a Teen Titans spinoff, a live action Teen Titans spinoff. That's the rumor mill. I don't know if that could actually happen, because I don't really understand how you can have a Teen Titans and a Titans live action going on simultaneously when you haven't really even done that great with the Titans show. But I would love just to have Tim be part of it. Let Tim join the team. That's fine. I don't necessarily think we need a whole spinoff, but Tim was great this episode, and it was great to kind of see his dynamic with them. And oh my gosh, thank you, Red Eyes, with the $20 super chat. Always appreciate it. Red Eyes is saying, I did hate what they did with Bruce. Thank you. You better had agreed. Even at Bruce's lowest, he wouldn't kill himself because he is arrogant and feels the world can't survive without him. I have a full Bruce rant on my Titans review coming soon. Well, make sure y'all check that out. Red Eyes also is a DC fan. Really gives some good insight, even when we disagree. He does give great insight. But check out his YouTube, y'all, because he also does reviews of DC centered show. I think Red Eyes, you also do Batwoman, right? I don't do Batwoman. I think Red Eyes does Batwoman. So check that out if you guys are watching Batwoman and whatnot. And yeah, thank you so much, Red Eyes. Always appreciate it. Let's give it up for Red Eyes. Let's give it a clap. Always appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's see what y'all are saying. Josh is saying, sorry to be off subject, but are you going to watch the review? I actually did do a published article review of Midnight Mass, spoiler free. Check out the community page, my community page. I linked to it, but I will also be doing a spoiler discussion of Midnight Mass. Hopefully, I'm thinking this Friday, although I'm giving everyone, I want to kind of give everyone a chance to watch it before I do a spoiler discussion so more people can join it. So it might be this Friday coming up, knock on wood, or it might be sometime mid the next week, just so everyone has a chance to watch it before I do a spoiler discussion. But check out my published article at People's World if you guys want to see a spoiler review of that. That's a new Netflix horror show. Solomon is saying the afterlife could definitely be explored more. I want more Aqualad. Yes. Let's see. Red Eyes is also saying, I don't have an issue with Donna saving Bruce, but the question is, how does she know to save Bruce? There's plot holes. Yeah, right? I said that. I said there are plot holes. And I some people are comparing this episode to like Doom Patrol for people who watch Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol is a little bit more over the top. And I think they write better stories because they think about every little thing. I feel like this was kind of thrown together a little bit. It worked well, but I don't think they really thought some of the dynamics and the rules through, right? And I don't know how she saved Donna. I mean, how Donna saved Bruce, because it made no sense. Tim woke up where his body was. Donna woke up, her body disappeared from the island. I don't know. How did she sense it? Maybe someone's working behind the scenes. We might find that out. Maybe someone's working behind the scenes in the afterlife and this world and the next, kind of playing and pushing the buttons. That might be a thing. We might find that out. Or they could just say, hey, it's magic. Solomon is saying Crane is so much of a letdown. The writers could have at least given Titans powered Batman villain like Poison Ivy, Killer Croc, or Man-Bat. Exactly. Very much agreed. Very, very much agreed. Josh Washington with the claps for Red Eyes. Yes, Bannon. Red Eyes Entertainment Channel is great. And Red Eyes point out for y'all, he does Batwoman, Supergirl, Doom Patrol, Titans, and Marvel's What If. Thanks, guys. Yeah, definitely check that out. Let me see what y'all saying. So Red Eye saying Doom Patrol's afterlife was very different than Titans, but both I thought were good. And Ray is saying, I think she knew from the other side. I like to think that they were watching over. It could just be good timing. She was on her way to check in on Dick. Maybe, but where is Bruce's other manor? Who knows, right? But it was good. It was solid. And I think it solved the problem of now we have Donna back. Now we have Tim back. And Hank got his good send off. And now they have a friend and an ally too in the afterlife. So because we see that there's everything ain't on the up and up in the afterlife, that they can also maybe help out with stuff like that. So that'd be good if we got some, guest stars. So I love that. I thought it was solid, y'all. I definitely the highlight of the episode and all. It was action packed. It was good. It was a Titans plot line. It worked. It really worked. Bannon saying it looked like a castle in Europe. I wanted it. Yeah, very beautiful. Okay, so then we had Rachel. I love seeing Rachel back. I love this character. I love the potential of this character. I think the show has stifled this character a little bit. Definitely in season 2, I think she was stifled. I think she was basically put to the back in season 2. Probably because they wanted to focus more on even more so Nightwing and more practical type gunfighting, shooting type stuff. And then Raven's more horror tinged powers took a back seat because of Trigon and stuff like that, who was, as was pointed out, beaten in one episode, which is crazy. And I hope this season we get to see Rachel, I guess for the 4 episodes we have left, come more into. We saw a little bit in this episode, her coming more into her powers and using it a bit more, using it for defense and stuff, which was really cool to see. And I hope we see more of that because it looked really cool to see. My one point of contention with this was that, and I say this not completely sure, is if Rachel going to Themyscira, even though I didn't even actually say the name because, there was a whole thing about whether or not they'd be allowed to call it the actual name of the Amazonian island. Was she even needed to go there, right? Did she actually do anything to help Donna? Now, I could try to do the mental gymnastics to say she did. Like maybe her power was what allowed Donna to kind of stay on the train as long as she did. And instead of getting off the train like a year ago when she passed away, she was sitting on the train waiting, and maybe that gave her more time to fight or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. And the question also is, they were talking about how other Amazons have come back, because one of the Amazons were saying, oh yeah, I've seen it happen. And I wonder if people remember what they go through when they come back, because is Donna going to remember that she met Tim? Is she going to remember that she was on a train, that she saw Hank? Is Tim going to remember that he saw Hank? Or is that something that fades? And the question is, if other Amazons have come back, do they ever talk about the train? And do they talk about how maybe they jumped off the train and fought their way to the bridge and things? This is what I'm talking about when I say there's a plot hole there that no one explains. People who actually have come back, but no one talks about the train or anything, right? Rachel has even brought people back. She brought a dare back. Okay, it wasn't a person, but she did bring a dare back. And this was another thing. We know Rachel can bring people back from the dead. We saw that in season. She can bring things back from the dead. We saw that in season 1. And all of a sudden, she can't, because she couldn't do that with Donna for some reason. Now, one could argue that maybe there was something bigger at play, and the reason why she can never bring Donna back, because Donna was meant to cross links with Tim. And this is what I'm talking about when I say maybe there's something bigger going on, like someone else is, kind of pulling the strings here in certain regards, because maybe they didn't want Donna to leave yet because they needed to be there to link up with Hank and then Tim. Maybe that was what was going on, and that's why Rachel couldn't do it. It just didn't make much sense to me, and I kind of wondered what was the point of her going there then. What was the point? I don't know. But, maybe, it was cool to see. I just didn't understand why she went there if she wasn't going to be of any help to Donna's plot line, right? Red Eyes is saying, I love Tim, but the problem with Tim at this point is that he has all the detective skills in the world and he can't fight. That makes him a liability going forward. Well, what we'll probably get is a training scene, right? If he's going to end up joining the Titans, if that ends up happening, my guess is that he's going to go through training like Rachel and Gar did, right? Nightwing trained them in fighting, right? That's what we saw in season 2. And I think that's what they'll probably do with Tim. So we'll see that happening probably. Ray is saying, so the Amazons are in the mysticism and magic, but not to the same extent as Raven, but they were attempting to restore Donna with their ritual. So is this a thing? Can they do that? Well, it seems like they leave it very vague. They go there and they meditate and they kind of just hope that they come back. They don't know how, they just kind of hope. And I don't know. I don't know if that's the best way. I don't know what is with them taking like legacy type characters and lore and just kind of watering it down. But yeah. Ray is saying, I think that Rachel's powers at those moments allow her to help pull Donna out sooner. Maybe. I'm hoping that's part of it. Ben is saying, I like how they did make it seem she had been training with the Amazon, so that maybe we will see more of her fully controlled Rachel using her power as well in the future. I hope so as well. Ben is saying, I also like the older Amazon. I liked it too. I like the younger one too. I kind of want to find out the name. I wonder if, I would hope, she was kind of cool, and we didn't get to see the younger one that was training Rachel. Could that be Nubia? That'd be cool if that turned out to be Nubia. That'd be cool for those who know Nubia from the DC comics. I'd be there for that because I really like the actress that was playing her. Ray is saying season 2 was the birth of Nightwing, basically, but we lost a great Titan in Jericho. He was one of my faves from Teen Titans. The massive team recruitment toward the end of the season. Yeah. Jericho came and went. Once again, another plot point. Solomon saying this was such a rushed and watered down Themyscira. It really was. And another plot point. This show is very good at evoking things just for that moment and then kind of not using them ever again. So yeah, I don't know. Red Eye saying, honestly, Donna and Tim should not remember each other or that they met Hank. I don't know. I would love if they remembered it, only because so we wouldn't have to get the whole "hey, do I know you" kind of thing or whatever. But then again, I mean, it would be nice because maybe Donna could tell Dawn, "Hey, I saw Hank and he's doing okay." Because no one know, if people don't know what happens, wouldn't that be a nice kind of, I met him over there, he's doing all right, or something like that. I don't know, something. Tim, Ray is saying Tim has always been like an inverse of Jason attribute wise. Yeah. So, I mean, I love that they're heading back. It was kind of weird when Rachel was like, okay, maybe I should go. And it was like, so why was she there? Like, was it just the train? She could have trained at the Titans Tower. She didn't need to go there to train with them. Let's just be honest here, because Starfire could have taught her how to deal with her powers as Starfire deals with her powers. I just, once again, a plot point. But it was very cool to see that Rachel sensed when Donna wasn't there anymore. I noticed that Rachel did sense when Donna wasn't there anymore. And I thought that was pretty cool. And hopefully maybe that will make it so Rachel maybe she goes looking for Donna. Although we did see pictures, stills from the next episode, it does look like Donna ends up in Gotham somehow. She ends up there. We didn't see pics of Rachel in scenes yet, but hopefully she also is in next episode, because I would hope that they're in the very next episode, because the next episode could be bonkers considering that we're going to join the rest of the Titans. But it was solid. Now, before before we wrap it up with this, y'all, I got a question for you, right? What we have is a very crowded cast now. Now that Donna and Rachel are back, which two people I did want to get back, particularly Rachel, we have a very crowded cast of so-called main characters. We have Red Hood, because technically he is a main character, and he may not be officially of the Titans, but he was before he left. So we have Red Hood, we have Nightwing, we have Starfire, we have Beast Boy, we have Superboy, we have Rachel, we have Donna, we have Blackfire, we have Barbara, we have Tim. Now, Barbara's not a Titans, but she's taken up a lot of air this season as well, and she is considered a main. She's like, I think, considered a regular on the show. So we have in total, I think, about 1, 2, let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 superheroes on this show, y'all. That's very crowded. That's very crowded. And I'm wondering, do you think other people will be leaving at the end of this season? We got 4 episodes left. And do you think we're going to keep this much of a bloated cast? I think we won't. But I want to know what you all think. Whether or not you think certain characters are leaving, or maybe they're going to stay where they are. Maybe Tim doesn't leave with the Titans to go back to San Francisco. Maybe he chooses to stay in Gotham, and I don't know, maybe he trains under Batman. If he comes back, maybe Tim chooses to hang with Batman, and train under him, right? That could be a thing. Red Eyes is saying, usually when someone comes back from the dead, quote unquote, they have no knowledge of the afterlife. But then I guess technically they didn't get there yet since they got off the train. Yeah, they were in limbo. Ray is saying, Chauncey, I'm weak. You hit Barbara with taking up air, not Batgirl. Well, listen, she is. She had a name. She had one episode named after her. Then the Lady Vic episode was heavily about her too. She's just taking up a lot of air for someone who's not really in Titans. It's kind of weird. It's ridiculous at this point. It's just ridiculous. And Ray is saying, I want Titans to go back to the West Coast. God help them. Let's hope that is definitely what happens. So my thought process is Barbara is probably going to stay at Gotham. I mean, why would she go with them Titans, right? She's got a thing. So she's probably not going to be there as heavily in season 4. Fingers. I like Savannah. I like the actress that's playing her. She's done a fine enough job of what she's been given, but she's kind of just also been a plot point for Nightwing. So let's just be honest here. So I think Barbara's probably going to go. I think Tim may go with them, but to me, it would make more sense if Bruce comes back that he chooses to train Tim, especially if you're going to have another Robin. Wouldn't you need Batman to designate that. I mean, Nightwing can't just be like, okay, you'll be Robin. I mean, okay, no offense, Nightwing, but you're not Batman. You can't tell people they're just going to be Robins, right? So I feel like Tim needs to train under Batman. So I would hope that he stay. I mean, as much as I love Tim, storyline wise, it kind of makes more sense for him to stay in Gotham with Batman, with Bruce, and train under him. That's my honest opinion on that. Although I would love more Bruce and Tim. I would love more Tim, you know. Let's see. Ray is saying, only spinoff I want is the Titans East Coast team and West Coast team, and no White Visions and Ancient Poem Matrix mental fights. Okay. Ben is saying, I think Tim will become Robin under Batman. I don't think Jason will rejoin them. And I think you are right. And Blackfire will become a villain. And hopefully Barbara will stay in Gotham. Yeah. Red Eye saying, the problem is there's no reason to justify everyone leaving because they all have a reason to stay, except for Jason and maybe Donna. Everyone else has nowhere to go. Ray is saying they better give me one more fight scene of Barbara in that chair before the season is over. Yeah, I could see that. Solomon is saying I can see them keeping everyone, but doing that spinoff, the teen Titans stay in Gotham to train with Batman, then the Titans go back to San Francisco. Ray is saying Tim knows the manor and the Batcave. He's gonna steal that Batman suit and remix it. Bat. Yeah. Well, I think Bruce is going to head back to Gotham. And if Bruce heads back to Gotham, you won't need Nightwing to stay there. So, because I know it's going through the grapevine that maybe Nightwing stays in Gotham. That would be ridiculous. And I think you just piss off so many people if he chooses to stay there with Barbara and leave his team to go back to San. I think that's just silly. Yes, Nightwing does go off and do his own thing occasionally, but you've hardly had a team. And I love that Rachel pointed that out this episode. She was like, I thought we'd fight more together as a team, but that really rarely happened that way. Yes, another meta moment of, yeah, and it's funny when writers do that because it's almost like, oh, y'all actually know that we had a problem with that. So are you going to do something about it? Or do you want us to just be like, oh, ha, you get it. But if you don't do anything about it, it's not really funny. It's just kind of like, okay, so you know we don't like the fact that they don't fight as a team most of the time, but you can point it out, but you can't fix it. What's going on with that, right? So, my honest opinion is I do think Blackfire is going to probably turn villain. I don't know if it's going to happen in the very beginning of the very end of season 3. I think it might be more of a season 4 thing, but I mean, I know some people don't want a cliffhanger, but I would kind of love if she went villain. I think it would be cool. I think she has to go villain. I think if you don't allow Blackfire to go villain, even for a little bit, and she gets redeemed towards the end of the season or something, you've kind of taken off of the table some really good plot lines from the actual Titans lore. And it's a waste. Why do that? You know, so you got to have Blackfire's got to go villain. I'm not saying it has to be this season, but she's got to go villain eventually, in my opinion. So I think Red Hood is definitely going to go. I don't think there's any way they're going to allow him to join the Titans again. But that may be where that spinoff's going to come from. So what we'll probably have, in my opinion, is Nightwing, Starfire, Superboy probably will stick around, I think. Beast Boy, of course, Rachel, and Donna. I think we're going to have 6. I think we're going to have 6 Titans, more so. That's where I think it's going to be. I think Barbara's going to stay in Gotham. Tim is going to stay under Bruce. Or maybe he'll go back and forth. Maybe Bruce will let him go hang out with the Titans and then say, come back to Gotham. So he'll go back and forth. So he's not really like a main on the show, but he's like there, but not totally there. And the 6 of them are kind of the ones that are like fighters. I can see that. That's what I'm seeing so far. Unless Donna decides she wants to kind of go off on her own. I could see that being a thing. Josh is saying Blackfire definitely needs to go villain, right? I think she has to. It'd be a waste. I mean, she could join the team, but we have Starfire. And I mean, we could have that sister dynamic, but some of the great plot lines came from Blackfire being a villain in the comics. So let her do that. Red Eye saying Blackfire definitely isn't staying with the team. She will turn on Corey in the season finale. Okay. Red Eyes is saying that, y'all. So put your bets down. Do y'all think? I agree that Blackfire is going to go villain, but will it be at the end of this season, or will they allow her to go with them and then maybe it's revealed undercover that she's a villain. And then in season 4, that's somewhere in season 4, it's like revealed to the actual Titans that she's a villain. Let's see what y'all think about that. Bannon saying, I think there is a distinct possibility that she will go villain and maybe take Connor villain as well, at least for a bit. She'd have to brainwash him though. Wouldn't she? If she took Connor, that'd be cool. But that'd be crazy if she took Connor, because I mean, I guess they would be evenly matched, because you'd have Starfire and Donna and Raven on one side. Then I guess that would actually be a real fight for once. Yeah. Ray also has a prediction. Blackfire gonna get her powers back last episode or one before and turn back to her statements and forgo the Kryptonian peace, Titans, and family. Okay. And Bannon saying that would be a perfect 6, the 6 I had mentioned, but I'm thinking that won't happen until next season. Okay. I hope you are right. I'm sorry, I was reading another one. That would be a perfect 6. I hope you are right. Then have them fight as a team. Exactly. Josh is saying, I want it to be in the season finale, but I'm thinking it won't happen until next season. A Blackfire going villain. Ray is saying, Connor has been dipping a lot into Lex side of Gene Pool. Would be cool to see him really explore those skill sets they have been making him utilize. And Bannon is saying, they get along so well, and he keeps mentioning his evil side. All right. Y'all might be right if she's able to do that. But I feel like he would have to, like, something really crazy would have to happen for Connor to, of his own will, do that, though. I feel like something like that would have to happen for him to choose to do that. And I don't think Blackfire would take him, like, mind-wise. I don't think she would want to, because I think she does like him on some level. But I do think they're going to have to shorten this. So I think the 6, I'd be fine with 6 Titans. I think that'd be okay. I love the core 4, but if they have to do 6, I think that's the 6 we're going to get. And I'd be okay with the 6 that I named. And the rest of them can go for a bit. But yeah, y'all, that was episode 9, Souls. I dug it. One of the best ones of the season. That may not be saying a lot, because I think this season has been lopsided. I do hope we get more Starfire plot line, because I do think that is going to set the stage for season 4. Hopefully that really is going to be the stronghold for the next season. So hopefully you get more of that. And I can't wait to see Starfire. I can't wait to see Starfire and Rachel reunite, because mama and daughter need to see each other. I loved the Starfire and Rachel dynamic. So hopefully we see that. Red Eyes is talking blasphemy and saying Corey might leave the team to go back to her home world. That's blasphemy. Yeah, you're talking blasphemy, Red Eyes. We won't hear it. No. No. We've hardly gotten her. She cannot leave the team yet. And I know that happens in the comics. I'm well aware, but she's hardly gotten focus to then leave. Like, can I get a full season of her plot line before she's heading on a spaceship to go home? Like, let's not do that. Ray is saying, I don't think it's going to be evil. I think it's going to be the ethical question of ends justify the means and the 51% rule. She may be able to get Connor on philosophy and ethics versus morals. Maybe. Y'all are making some good points. I can see it. That would take off one more Titan and give us 5 and lead us into season 4. So I could see it. So yeah. So let's see where it goes, y'all. But I think, hopefully this Crane plot line gets tightened up and done away with. Although from the synopsis of this next upcoming episode, we're still going to deal with more of Crane. He may even be taking over Bruce Manor or Wayne Manor. Y'all, I'm tired of Crane. I'm tired of Scarecrow. So let's see where it goes. But thanks so much to all of you for joining me. If you're sticking around, I will be doing the American Horror Story Red Tide episode 6. Mid-season finale review in the next live stream, so you could join there. And also check out this upcoming week, I will be doing Evil. If you've been watching Evil, me and my mama will be doing the next episode for that, and also Y the Last Man. So if you've been watching Y the Last Man, check out my live streams of that. I'll be doing episode 5 this upcoming week, knock on wood, God willing. And also look back here. I'll be making an announcement for when I'll be doing the Midnight Mass spoiler discussion. But check out the community page for my link to my published article, spoiler free review of Midnight Mass, of the overall series. I got a screener from Netflix. So I was able to watch it before it came out, and I absolutely really did love it. It's kind of lopsided here and there, but I really did enjoy it. So let me know your thoughts on that. But until next time, y'all, thanks for joining me, and have a great rest of your week. Talk to you soon.